Welcome back to another episode of the Bad Influence Podcast. I'm Jordan Banderas. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that follow, subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my episodes. Today, I want to talk to you guys about why it's so hard for men to talk about their issues. If you are married to a man or dating a man, probably you have noticed that we don't like to talk about what's going on in our heads. We keep it deep inside. We may be stressed out, struggling, but we don't talk about it, right? And I understand that can be frustrating for the relationship because I know that it was frustrating for my wife when we first got married because I didn't talk about anything. I was just so quiet. I was just like, I'm okay. I'm not okay, whatever, right? So the easy answer to this particular question is that us as men, we only have 3 emotional settings. Sometimes you can have a little bit more, but for example, me, I only have 3, which is one of the reasons why I went to therapy. So I'm talking to you from personal experience. And when you get down to it, those 3 emotional settings are either happy. You know, when you feel happy, you're like, yeah, I am happy. And you see it with your husband or your boyfriend or your partner where they're all happy, they're enjoying life. They're like, yeah, life is awesome. Then there's neutral, where you're just like, I don't know what to feel. I don't feel anything, like I'm just like meh. That's the neutral. And then there's angry or pissed off where you literally see red and you're ready to kill someone. Those are the 3 emotional settings that I've had since I grew up, since I was growing up. Those are the only ones. And obviously there's more emotional settings or anything like that. There's more emotions that you have to go through in life in order for you to understand yourself. But if you come from a messed up situation, like a broken home, where there was abuse, either physical, emotional, sexual, or financial, you're just gonna create these emotional settings that will let you survive life. It's not like you can do anything else. And what happens too is that anything outside of those settings, we don't know how to react or feel about it. If you feel sad, a lot of people put sadness under angry. Or if you're kind of like surprised, you put it under neutral. Probably you have seen it where guys are like acting as surprised, but they don't show it. They're like, yeah, I'm surprised. They don't smile. They don't say anything. They're just like neutral. I used to do that a lot. Now, that's the easy answer to this particular question. But let's go through the long answer to this dilemma. Because I honestly think that as men, if we're not able to open up, that actually is going to eat you alive. And one of the reasons why we don't like to open up is because of the fear of opening up and talking about our issues. Because whether it's a fear of being seen as weak or just not knowing how to properly communicate about our feelings, men tend to bottle up everything inside. So their partners or our partners in the situation don't know exactly how we feel. They don't know how to help us. They don't know what to do, so they just go along with it because we tell them like, yeah, I'm okay. Even though you may be depressed or stressed or angry, you're always like, oh, I'm okay. I don't need help or anything like that because I'm a man. But the truth about this, and that's what I want to bring attention to in today's episode, is that doing this, bottling up everything inside, can lead to some serious health problems down the line, like depression, suicidal thoughts, stress-related heart issues, and much, much more. And there is proof right now. There was a study done by Harvard that shows that People that are depressed and that have been depressed for years, they actually end up getting a heart attack down the line, because what goes in your head, it actually affects you physically. If you have negative thoughts about yourself, if you feel bad about yourself, that's actually going to present in a physical way. This is something that I learned while I was working on myself, and I didn't think it was true, but then I saw all these medical researches and it shows that it is true. But another reason why men don't like to talk about our problems is that it comes down to societal expectations. Because from a very young age, men are told to be tough. We are not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to show emotion or reveal any kind of vulnerabilities. So when we're struggling with something, it's no wonder that so many of us don't know how to express it, because we're not taught how to feel everything that's going on in our lives. And I also believe that a lot of us feel ashamed of opening up because we may feel like we're failing in life, like we don't have our lives under control. And it actually cause a downward spiral into depression, because you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep my life together. Everything is falling apart. And you just feel like so stressed out that you don't know what to do. But the truth is that asking for help, and I learned this, is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. Because how are you supposed to go through life, especially when you have never gone through something like what you're going through right now? Like, let's say after the pandemic, everybody's stressed, everybody's losing it. Nobody has ever gone through something like that except for the Great Depression, but or the World War II, and certain things that have happened throughout history. But a lot of those people, unfortunately, they have passed away. So we don't have a way to say, oh, well, this person went through something like this. How did they get through it? Because right now, life has become too comfortable for us. We're literally ordering DoorDash to actually get our food delivered to us. We take medications that help us with depression, even though we may not need it because it may be emotional depression. Like, there's so many things that help us right now. So we're always looking for a crutch. So when you open up and you decide to ask for help, you don't want to seem weak. So you're just looking for a crutch. And right now, this is another thing that I want to bring on today's episode, and I want to bring your attention to, because you have to be careful as to who you listen to. I have seen a lot of videos of so-called life coaches, or whatever they call themselves, even relationship coaches, that have said, if you're a man, you cannot suffer from depression, because men cannot be depressed or anxious, and to never open up about your problems, because that will make you look weak. And a man needs to be strong and look strong. But, and this is a fact, I guess these people don't know that men have a higher tendency to commit suicide, because we don't talk about our issues. We let our issues and our emotions eat us alive. And in fact, the CDC actually released information that shows that back in 2021, after the pandemic, male suicide rate was 80% higher, which translates to 22 men a day dying due to suicide versus 5 women per day. I also have seen other videos where there are men that complain about how women don't know how hard it is to be a man. And I totally understand. It is hard to be a man or a woman. But here's the problem. How is your partner or someone that's trying to help you supposed to know what's going through your head or how you're feeling when we don't open up about anything? We go into neutral and we're like, I'm okay. You know what I mean? It's not good to complain saying, oh, well, women don't know how hard it is to be a man and everything that we go through. Well, they're not going to understand unless we talk to them and say, like, this is what we go through. This is how I feel. This is the kind of stress that I feel. And that's not going to make you look weak. Actually, the right partner will actually enjoy that and will value that communication because now they know how to help you. And a lot of partners, especially women, want to help their spouses, but the spouses don't open up. This is pretty much what happened in my marriage. My wife wanted to help me go through all my shit, all my trauma, but I didn't open up. And once I started opening up, she valued that communication and she was there next to me saying, like, I'm here for you whenever you need me. And I know that there are women that say, like, oh, if a man cries in front of me, I will leave him. Well, that's not the woman for you. That's not the partner that you need. If your partner, your woman, or whoever you're dating or married to, doesn't understand that crying is an emotion that shows that you're alive, then you don't need that partner in your life. You need somebody that is going to understand that even though you're a man, even though you're an actual person that is trying to be tough and take care of everything, you still have feelings. And another thing that I honestly believe that it's important to learn is emotional intelligence. That way we know how to process our emotions. That way we know and we question ourselves as to why we're feeling a certain way. Now, I want to share this with you guys. It's related to this information from the CDC because I have had the opportunity of meeting widows that became widows due to their spouses committing suicide. And one of the things that they all say, the common denominator in this situation, is that they say the men or their spouses always said that they were okay. They smile. They never show any negative emotion. So the wives were like, well, he's okay. He will come to me if he needs me. He knows I'm here. But the problem is that the men never came for aid. They never asked their spouses, hey, I need help. I need somebody to talk to. And in the end, because your emotions can actually become a huge burden, and you don't want to be a burden to others, you end up committing the ultimate act, which is suicide. You end up killing yourself. It's like Jordan B. Peterson said. Suicide is not the last option. It's the only option. When you're that depressed, when you feel that burden, you're not going to see a way out, but unfortunately, killing yourself. And I have seen it. Like I said, I have met widows that say that. Like, they're like, I was there next to him. He never said anything. He laughed. He smiled. He tried to take care of us. I came home one day and he was dead. And because of what I have seen with these widows, believe me, that option doesn't remove the burden from your spouses or your family. It actually creates a bigger burden because now you're going to leave them alone. Even though you may have insurance and they may get money, that still doesn't heal their heart. That doesn't heal their emotions. And you may be asking, well, what's the big issue with this? How come we're not talking? How come men are not talking? Well, the bigger issue with this in regards to men not talking about their issues is because it's that when we try to talk about our issues, we don't receive validation or empathy. And I'm not saying like, oh, your spouse says like they're sad and you're gonna be like, oh, you're sad, come here. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying when it comes to validation and empathy is like, I understand that you're sad. This is what worked for me, and this is what my wife does for me in this case. When I tell her I'm feeling a certain way, she goes, I understand that you're feeling, let's say, sad. I understand that you're feeling angry. How come you're feeling angry? What's going on? And then, because she's using logic with me, she actually makes me think as to why I feel that way, which is part of emotional intelligence. So that actually helps. That's what I mean with validation and empathy. And instead of getting that, we actually end up receiving dismissive comments like suck it up or man the fuck up. Like probably you've been told that multiple times by someone in your family or even one of your friends. And to be honest, that can be incredibly frustrating and alienating, because now you're like, well, feeling this way is bad according to this person. So according to this person, feeling this way is bad, so I cannot feel that way. And it creates frustration. And then you feel like you cannot talk to anybody because you don't want to be told to man the fuck up, be a man, suck it up, and all these fucking things, right? And the thing is, like, it's not about being able to vent. It's about feeling heard and understood. So I honestly believe that we need to work on creating a space, either at home or with friends, where men can speak openly and honestly without fear of judgment or ridicule. Because if you think about it, the male population also has a lot on their shoulders. We have to go to work. We have to deal with people that we don't like at work. So it's a lot. And it's also worth mentioning that many of us simply don't know how to communicate effectively. Because unlike females, this is not a skill that is traditionally taught to boys. And I think this can lead to misunderstandings and conflict, because we can say things that come off the wrong way and our partners get mad because they may feel attacked, which only reinforces the idea that opening up is bad. But the truth is that learning how to communicate properly is essential in all aspects of life, not just in relationships, but in the workplace and beyond. I have learned this during my marriage. That's why I have been able to stay married for 9 years, almost 9 years, and we're growing stronger than ever because we worked on our communication. We don't put each other down or anything like that, like many couples that I know. So you may be asking, what can we do to change things? Well, let's take a look at this. So first and foremost, I think we need to start talking to each other. I know it can be scary at the beginning and uncomfortable, but it gets easier with practice. Find someone you trust and feel comfortable with. It can be a friend, a family member, a therapist, or even your spouse. You don't have to bare your soul all at once. You need to start small and work your way up. So for example, if your spouse tells you or asks you, how was your day at work, and you had a shitty day, you can just start with that. Today my day at work was shitty because of this. And that will release some of the stress instead of you bottling it up, and whenever something happens, that stress comes to the surface and you snap. Because you don't want to do that, especially with your family or your friends, right? So remember that it's okay to feel vulnerable. And remember, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's like Warren Buffett said, learn how to communicate in order for you to be successful. Because once you start communicating, once you start being able to actually say how you feel and to pretty much describe everything around you, sometimes one idea might pop up in your head and you're gonna be like, you know what? This is a good idea. And you're gonna be able to describe it to others, to your spouse, to your kids, whatever. You're gonna be able to write it down. And then you're gonna be like, you know what? I can do this. because you wrote the actual blueprint. And that's pretty much what I started doing with the podcast. That's how I started. And then I started working on my communication. And I think I have gotten better. If you look at the first episode ever that I started podcasting, it's way better. So there you have it. The reasons why men don't like to talk about their issues and what can we do to change things. It won't be easy, and there will likely be pushback along the way. There's so many people that are going to be like, no, a man needs to be strong and that. And here's the problem with that. If you follow those people that are like, oh, man needs to be strong, a man doesn't cry, whatever. Well, if you end up doing the opposite to that, you're going to feel bad. And you're going to be like, well, this person that has the lifestyle that I want says not to cry, but I just cried. So I must be a failure. So you have to think about that as well. Because as men, it's time to step up and take ownership of our emotional well-being. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to ask for help. So let's help try to create a world where silence is no longer the default setting for men. So thank you for listening. Thank you for the growth and the feedback. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. The links are in the episode's description. And here are my final thoughts. Learn to control your emotions, even the negative ones, or they will end up consuming you in the end. And have a great day.